Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to Copper Jacket TV. So today I've got a very important update, if not the most important update that we've had yet, in Snope v. Brown and Ocean State Tactical v. Rhode Island. Both cases currently sitting before the Supreme Court that challenge both the so-called quote-unquote assault weapons bans and magazine capacity bans as well. So let's talk about what's going on. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about what's going on here with Snope and Ocean State. Now, we've been watching these two cases very closely since they were first petitioned to the Supreme Court back in August of 2024. Now, we've been watching them very closely because they are two of the most extremely important cases currently sitting before the Supreme Court. And oddly enough, they should be two of the most easily answered cases that the Supreme Court could take. It is very clear that they implicate the Second Amendment. There is no history and tradition that would support such bans, but yet the Supreme Court has been punting the football down the road since they originally got them. They have been reconferenced and rescheduled, and we have been waiting to see what would happen. Now, the last conference came on the 21st of February, so just last Friday, and this morning we were supposed to find out exactly what was going to happen. And I got to be honest, I got a little bit nervous this morning when I saw the list, basically the list of the Supreme Court's acceptance and denials, and the denials were extremely long. There were hundreds of cases that were denied by the Supreme Court today. As a matter of fact, I mean, you can even take a look here. This is just the list of denials alone that came out of the Supreme Court today. They pretty much just kind of cleared their calendar of hundreds of potential cases. Now, I'm sure you noticed what is not on that denial list, and that is Snope and Ocean State, neither of which were on that massive denial list. If there was ever a time that the Supreme Court was going to deny one or both of these cases, they could have very easily thrown it in there and just kind of let it mix in with the crowd, so to speak. So it is very encouraging that it didn't end up in that denial list. Now, unfortunately, it was not accepted either. As a matter of fact, it was moved yet again to the next conference. And while that's frustrating, I see this as good news because they've had plenty of time to write a dissent in this case. It's been rescheduled and reconferenced multiple times. So there's been plenty of time to write a dissent by now. If that's what they're going to do, more than likely it would have ended up in this giant denial list, but it didn't. Now, again, it wasn't accepted, but they're moving it on to next week. So I'm actually feeling better after today's update that they might actually take one or even potentially both of these cases. But I've said it 1,000 times before. I don't have a crystal ball. I can't see into the future. I don't know what's happening behind closed doors at the Supreme Court. This is just all based on my opinion and my feeling based on the sequence of events for these two cases and what we've seen come down the road so far, what we've seen accepted, what we've seen denied, and the status of the two cases as of today. So for me personally, just based on my own feeling, I'm actually feeling like this is good news. Now, they could still continue to punt this down the road. Unfortunately, we're already into the fall 2025, 2026 year for these two cases if they were to be heard. So we wouldn't find out anything about these two until 2026, even if they took them tomorrow. But at least we still have the chance for them to take them. Again, this would be the easiest thing for the Supreme Court to take a look at and fix, but they choose not to. And it's, I don't know exactly why they choose not to, but so far up until this point, they just haven't. So again, both Snope and Ocean State have been rescheduled for a Friday, the 28th conference. And if we don't hear anything that night, I will jump in front of the camera on Monday to let you guys know what's going on with it. But the Supreme Court has got to take these. They have to answer the question because what the appellate court here did in Snope is just so egregious and so appalling that it has to be corrected. The Supreme Court cannot allow this to stand where the appellate court basically said, hey, look, they're too militaristic, and therefore they're allowing the state to ban them. We can't allow that to be the standard. These are still arms. They're protected by the Constitution, and the Supreme Court needs to make sure that the lower courts understand that. So anyway, I wanted to share that with you. I want to thank you all very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, please hit that like button. The subscribe button is free. It only takes a second, but it helps us out here quite a bit, and you guys have a great day.